So, can you imagine a lash-up like this? So, I want you to imagine a Progress Rail Tier 4 Ace. Now, imagine a Dakota, Minnesota, and Eastern, the City of Wall unit, and an NREX primed engine. Imagine that all in one lash-up. Sounds impossible, right? That sounds pretty impossible to see like a Progress Rail, a DME, and a primed up NREX all in one paint. Sounds pretty impossible, right? No. It's happened. This happens only on the one and only the BNSF Beardstown subdivision. The Beardstown subdivision has some of the most legendary lash-ups that will make you crap yourself. This is pretty much one of the reasons why the BNSF Beardstown is one of my all-time favorite lines. It has lash-ups that you have never seen before. Unlike any other lash-up, unique, legendary, huge, all in one. The BNSF Beardstown gets a lot of cult trains though, but and there's not very many trains a day, like maybe only 3 to 6. Sounds boring. Here's the thing though, the BNSF Beardstown is a lot better than you think. The BNSF Beardstown sub is something else. There is no other place like the BNSF Beardstown sub. The lash-ups on there are crazy. The BNSF Beardstown sub is truly a legendary subdivision. Now, I want you to imagine a GP60B. Now imagine another GP60B. And now imagine it on one train. That's happened on the Beardstown sub too. Yes, this is all for real, and I have the evidence to prove it here in the footage. The BNSF Beardstown sub is truly just amazing, and here's why. There are 2 certain trains that run on the BNSF Beardstown sub that make this line absolutely legendary. And that, my friend, are the 2 BNSF locals, not the YCEI 101. The YCEI 101 is a POS. The local that you should be looking for, the symbol for that is LCHI 6571. The L stands for local, and CHI means Chicago Division. And the numbers, well, they're just the given numbers for the symbol. LCHI 6571 goes from Centralia to Paducah. But if you live north of Centralia, there's no need to worry, because there's another local up there that goes from Beardstown and terminates in Centralia, and it's called M-BEACEI. And then once it gets into Centralia, the symbol changes to LCHI 6571. LCHI 6571 has a counterpart train called LCHI 6561. The BNSF locals, well, LCHI 6571 runs on Tuesdays and Thursdays, while LCHI 6561 runs on Wednesdays and Fridays. Alright, so, if you want to the BNSF Beardstown sub doesn't give very many trains a day. So, if you want to rail fan on the Beardstown sub, you're best off in Centralia, Illinois. Litchfield isn't that bad too, but they don't have as many trains as Centralia. But don't get me wrong though, Litchfield isn't that bad. But it's better to be in Centralia though, because I actually know when the locals run. So, now this might not be exactly accurate, and a lot of times it will vary. It seems like the southbound local, when it runs on Tuesday, tends to leave Centralia at around noon. It's best to be in Centralia at 11 in the morning if you plan on catching the southbound local. Now, when the southbound local runs on Thursdays, it can sometimes also leave at noon as well. But I have noticed that the local's been leaving at 2 p.m. as well. A lot of the times when I get home from school, the local seems to be leaving Centralia at 2. So if you're going to rail fan in Centralia and catch the southbound local, if you're there on a Tuesday, you should be there around 11. If you're there on a Thursday, probably the same time, just in case the local doesn't run at 2. Now, for the northbound locals are a little bit harder to get. The northbound locals are harder to get. It seems like they vary a lot. Now, on Wednesday, don't even bother going out for the local on Wednesday. You want to know why? Because most of the time, the local on Wednesday runs while we're sleeping. Yeah, it's an overnight run on Wednesday, usually. You'd be very lucky to catch it before nighttime, which is very rare now. But the local runs while we're sleeping on Wednesday. Don't even bother going out for the northbound local on Wednesday. However, though, you are in luck on Friday. Sometimes the northbound local on Friday tends to come in at night, but usually you're not really sleeping during that time. And other times, it'll come in during the daylight around evening time. So if you're going to go out for the northbound local on Friday, I suggest you be in Centralia at 5 p.m. or maybe 4. It'd probably be a little bit better to be there at 4 or something. It's totally up to you, but you should be there right before the evening, because that's usually when the northbound local on Friday tends to run. Now, the northbound local on Wednesday, as I said, don't worry about it. Don't go out for it, because it's going to run while you're sleeping. I can promise you that. Unless a miracle happens and it actually decides to run at a good time. But anyway, here, I saw the northbound local, and it made it into Centralia at 2 in the morning. There's been other times where I've seen the local coming at midnight. There was even one time where I heard a BNSF pass my house at 4 in the morning, which was probably the local, because it was on a Wednesday. Technically Thursday, because it's past midnight. But I've seen the northbound local come in past midnight a ton of times, so it's really not the best idea to go out for the northbound local, or else when you're driving on there, you're going to be yawning a lot, and you're probably going to wreck. So it really is best to go out for the northbound local on Friday. Now, there's not really that much to worry about. If you go into Centralia, if you make it into Centralia and you just miss the local leaving Centralia, that's alright, because you can always head south and go down to Woodlawn and get it, because the local has to stop and do its work in Woodlawn, and it's usually there for over 30 minutes, dropping off and picking up cars from the EVWR. Now, here's another thing, too. A lot of times, it's best to catch the local in between Centralia and Woodlawn, because a lot of the times, if you ever see NREX engines, chances are they're going to get dropped off in Woodlawn. So if you catch the local south of Woodlawn, you won't see those NREX units. You'll get shafted. So just remember, if you catch the local, do it in between Centralia and Woodlawn. For southbound local, anyway. Now, northbound local, a lot of times the northbound local doesn't really drop off in RE stuff. It's usually the southbound local that tends to do that. The northbound local tends to pick up NREX equipment, so it's actually also best to catch it in between Woodlawn and Centralia as well, so you can see the NREX power. So don't get shafted. Listen to my tips here. If you want to get a legendary lashup to get a ton of views. So there you go. Now you know why the BNSF Beardstown sub is truly a legend. And now it is time to show you the legendary lashups of the BNSF Beardstown subdivision. And there you go, guys. That is some of the legendary and big lashups of the BNSF Beardstown subdivision. Thank you all so much for watching. And now remember, the locals only run on Tuesday and Thursday. And don't go out for the one on Wednesday. And you can always catch the one on Friday. And remember, you're better off in Centralia, Illinois. So, if you all ever go out to catch these locals, good luck, my friends. And I do recommend checking out the Beardstown sub one day.